Okay, here's a new project. This is a very nice Sharma or Sharmette rotary speaker cabinet made for organs and normally for use in a house. It's a bit smaller than your well-known Leslie and Hammond rotary cabinets, but it does exactly the same job. This is a nice wood cabinet for use in the home. I put it on a stand. It doesn't come with giant casters, but it's just so I can move it around. And it's smaller than a Leslie, and which means though it's very heavy, it's a bit easier to move around. But the sound is very exceptional. Um, I've taken the back cover off, and you can see here, made in Peterborough, England, and these were made in the 70s. Uh, and here is a catalogue, and there's a Sharmette. Says it comes with a 45-watt amplifier. It gives the big sound. All these things are excellent if you can ever find one. They're as good as Leslie's. Some of them are much bigger. And the 5000 I think was probably the most popular one. Really big sound, punchy, 180 watts it talks of. Anyway, let's have a look. I'm going to service this one. They do need servicing. I'll just turn it round. As I said, I've taken the back panel off, and it's a really nice construction, very solid, this dense board. And inside you find a very nice speaker. They use Celestion speakers, and their Celestion horn driver. And this is on top here. You got the rotary speaker, the horn, belt driven, 2 motors, fast and slow. And down here they use a wooden baffle that spins round to send the sound. Now on the Leslies and others, they use like a foam type of thing that rotates, which is lighter weight, so this one takes a little bit longer to spin up, but actually gives a very nice reflected sound from the wood. And there's the amp. It's transistor, but it's a good sound. Now the problem with these old Sharmas, main problem is the belts. They get very stiff over age. They stretch and they lose all their flexibility. And getting hold of belts for these is a nightmare. And especially the one underneath, which you can't see, it flops around and bangs against the case and makes some noise. And because this is heavy, it just won't spin it up. But anyway, I'm going to try and get some belts. But very interesting thing with this Celestion speaker, it's actually a G12H, and not just any old G12H. It's a T1281 made in that number there, DL10. It's made about 1975. And look at the cone number, 444. This is one of the best G12H's made, as used by Jimi Hendrix. And it's acknowledged as the best sounding G12H ever made. And in fact, I took a photo of it, so you can see G12H, 16 ohm, and wrote down the numbers, GL10, T1281, 444 cone. And the driver is also Celestion, the horn driver. It's a DC50, 15 ohm. Very nice speakers indeed. So the sound's going to be excellent. I mean, that speaker alone, you could sell it for good money if you took it out. If you can pick one of these up cheap. All these rotary speakers now are often thrown away. They're too heavy, too big. I mean, I got this one from an old couple who had had it with their organ in the house. They were going to get rid of it, so I got it really cheap. And people throw these away down the dump because no one will buy them. They might buy the Leslie with the valve amp. Yeah, big money. Transistor amps, they're transistor rotaries, people can't put them in their houses. They don't want to lug them to gigs because they use modern electronic simulations. But these things sound amazing in a studio, or if you've got room in your house. The sound is just sublime. Anyway, I'll do all the technical details later and add it all on, especially when I get the belts and get it working. Okay, I've turned the Sharma upside down and put it on the table so we can see what's going on. I've managed to get some new belts, luckily from David at Swain Electronics in the UK, and they're much thinner than the original belts, which were like cloth covered, but I'm sure they'll do the job. Now replacing the belt's going to be slightly difficult because they go round the pulley here, and see how loose this is. It comes off the pulley, but it's on the shaft. Looking at it, I think the shaft here has got a giant grub screw in here, so hopefully if I undo that grub screw, the shaft should drop down and be able to put the belt over. While we're doing that, this fan, rubber fan, which is come loose, I'm assuming that was originally a push fit and has shrunk, well actually expanded, and it needs to be glued on because this motor actually gets pretty hot when it's running. This pulley here seems fine. It's a one-way, so when one motor's running for slow speed, it doesn't turn the other motor, which is the fast speed, and which would just idle. Otherwise it would be turning it like a generator. These motors are mounted on rubber mounts up here. They actually still feel pretty rubbery and haven't atrophied and gone hard, which is a bonus. The belt on the horn down here, which is really lost all its tension, taking it off there. Now to get this off, first I thought, how am I going to do it? And then I noticed that it's there's a little clip there, so you just get it about out from behind the clip, and there, and then we can get it off round the horn. There, pull it off, and we'll be able to put the new one on quite easily. So that's a bonus. I'll check the bearings. Make sure that these things rotate without any drag. Might need a little bit of oil. And there's the horn driver. It's got a capacitor just to keep the bass off the horn. On the top, now this is the difficult one. In here you've got the belt runs in a groove and comes off the pulley at the end, runs down to the inside the drum here. Now this is, it's got a spring here too, which takes up the tension when the drum's speeding up and slowing down. It's a bit of a shock loading device, which is quite clever. It's held on by this bar. Well, I can't see any way of getting the shaft out to get the belt over it, except to undo that bar. Now the only way I can see of getting that bar off is to undo the screws on the nuts on the speaker, drop the speaker down and then undo the bar. I'm not sure you can undo the bar without taking the speaker out. I'll have a look at that. So that's the only difficult one. And the amp here. Amp's also mounted on little rubber mounts, which are still good. I've got the slow and speed, which connects in there on the cable, which I'll show you. This is a transistor amp. Looks pretty good condition, very large transformer, and the power transistors mounted on heatsink at the back. I'll look at the circuit diagram and show you later. Cabinet's very well made, very strong, nice and should give a really nice sound. And this drum here, very thin plywood, stayed together, and the balance weight here. Okay, so I'll fit the belts and carry on with the video later. Okay, just quickly show you that I've fitted the belts, and it is true this one here was very difficult to fit. I thought maybe I could undo this grub screw and lift this up and the shaft would be split, but it wasn't. So I did have to end up taking the speaker out, taking the screws off this bar, dropping it down, taking the belt out from either side of the bar, putting the new belt in and screwing it all back together. So that was a bit awkward, but it's now nice and tight. And the same with the one down here, that worked okay. Just undid the grub screw here and dropped this down, took the belt off and put the new one on, which is nice and tight. Actually, I forgot to take the old one off the shaft, but that's no good, so I can cut that off. And I've also glued this so that it's going to spin with the shaft and cool the motors. And the one underneath was very straightforward because you just lift this up and it came out from behind that little retaining clip, and that was easy to do. Took it off around there, and now we've got nice and tight. So I'm going to turn it over, connect up the speed control to this, and I'll demonstrate it working. Okay, I'll quickly show you the operation of the speeds now that I've connected up the mains, and this is where a guitar or organ can plug in. Because it's got volume, bass and treble. The guitar can have a preamp or effects or whatever, it can be plugged straight in here. Now I haven't got a foot switch where you press on and fast and speed on foot switches, but this is an organ switch for if you were playing the keyboard. You can have it next to you. It does the same thing. Center is off, and then you've got the slow and fast. Could make up a foot switch, but I haven't had time and I haven't got one, but it'd be fairly straightforward. Anyway, I just show you the different speeds. You've got the two motors. The one on the left, small one, is for slow, and the one on the fast right is for fast. So switching it to slow first, both the top and the bottom go around approximately the same speed, and that is run off the little motor there. And then when you switch to fast, the top one and the bottom one spin up to max speed pretty fast. Let's run off the bigger motor on the right. And then when you switch it to off or slow speed, switch it off, top one stops pretty soon, but the bottom one slows down nicely. That gives you a very nice sound as it slows down and stops. And both motors are obviously off, so you can switch between fast, slow and off all the time, and get some really nice effects. Anyway, I'll connect it up to a guitar and demonstrate the sounds. Okay, I'm going to demonstrate the Sharmette working now. Plugged in a guitar directly in here, vol max, treble max, bass in the medium position, and the switch here is for off, slow and fast. So I'll play through the chords first with it off, and so you can see what it sounds like normally. range of sounds with a foot switch. You'll be able to quickly switch between slow, fast and off to give you the nice sounds on different chords. So it's all working. I'll put the back on it, and it'll be